looking for ways to serve you better. One of the ways we do that is with something we call a Go-See. And that's where you select a vehicle from our inventory, and we have thousands, and we get one of our product specialists to bring that vehicle to you at your convenience. How do we do that? Well, it's simple. We have a group of employees that are evaluated based on the number of presentations they do. They're glad to do it. So it's just one more way we get off our keister and bring Heister to you.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. This month, get 3 rooms of carpets clean, starting at $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com.
Best idea for both of you this Valentine's Day? Adam and Eve. Everybody wins when you walk in with a gift from your local Adam and Eve store. Maybe you've been to one of our 6 Triangle locations. Maybe this is the reason you've been waiting for. Adam and Eve stores are filled with romantic, intimate gifts, from playful to passionate and everything in between. They'll even gift wrap it for you. Shop in-store today and get a free gift with a qualifying purchase at your local Adam and Eve, where pleasure begins and passion never ends.
Attention lovebirds. Valentine's Day is almost here, and Diamonds Direct has the gifts to wow your special someone. From dazzling diamonds and trending gold to vibrant gemstones, pearls, even timepieces. With hundreds of stunning styles under $1,000 and an exquisite collection of one-of-a-kind luxury pieces. Make your moment unforgettable. The best selection, value, and service are waiting for you. Make this Valentine's unforgettable with fine jewelry for every budget. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
This Valentine's Day, if you really want to impress me, how about a romantic meal at home from the Butcher's Market? So we each get a juicy filet mignon, lobster tails, twice-baked potatoes, and 4 long-stem chocolate-covered strawberries. Pretty romantic.
Right. And the folks over at the Butcher's Market have made it so easy for guys like us. I just order online, and it'll be ready for pickup when I walk in the door.
So what are you waiting for? Visit thebutchersmarket.com now. Trust me, you'll be glad you did.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
My expectation of how to react and how to respond after a game like this, and that there's a responsibility with that jersey on for this team, for this program, to get back up and competitively fight. And that is your job, and that's their requirement and responsibility. And that's what I'm going to do waking up tomorrow morning, and that's what our team will do.
It is the Adam Gold Show. Hi, everyone. I'm Adam. That's Victoria. Welcome to your Tuesday.
Chilly Tuesday.
It is chilly.
Mm-hmm.
The Mother Nature is definitely bent on getting everybody sick.
Yes.
With the fluctuation in temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
But we live in North Carolina, and we are used to that.
No strangers to it.
It happens all the time.
73 one day, 37 the next.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was gorgeous yesterday when I got home. It was in the, I think, like low 60s, high 50s.
Yeah.
It was beautifully sunny. It was nice. And, yeah, no. that went away.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens. I'm not going to dwell on it. Hope everything is well. I hope everything is better than what North Carolina is going through, the University of North Carolina men's basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
We will discuss that. It was, you could tell in Hubert Davis's voice there, how absolutely discouraged he is. And to me, that's the most appropriate word. We will use that a few times. But boy, looked good for a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? I might be 2 for 2. No. I was very confident that North Carolina would go to Clemson and win that game. I really was.
Yeah.
Because I thought Clemson would have a little bit of a Duke hangover.
Right, yeah. They spent it all
not.
against Duke, but no,
They
didn't.
did not. They are legitimately good. We will discuss it. There's a lot of cool Hurricanes-centric stuff coming out of the training for the Four Nations tournament.
I'm excited.
Jacob Slavin playing in a top defensive pair with Adam Fox. A little bit of a Hurricanes tie there. Of course, he never, ever showed up, so there's not that much of a Hurricanes tie there. But Fox and Slavin looking like the top defensive pair for the U.S. Seth Jarvis and Brad Marchand in a bromance.
I know. Who knew?
So
it's one-sided right now.
We played the clip.
Right,
yesterday.
but has Jarvie mentioned anything
No,
about
but-
his comments?
Well, I mean, I'm sure at some point, but we saw pictures at practice yesterday, and he and Marchand are like,
It's locked in now.
oh my gosh, they
I
look
love it.
like they're besties.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Rantanen and Aho are going to play together for Finland. And there's even some weird kind of speculation about Rantanen we will get to. But the tournament starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And, depending on who you talk to, everybody's pumped.
Yeah.
I think the players are probably pumped to a point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the Olympics.
No.
It's not everybody. We don't have a Czechia. We don't have a Germany. We don't have a Switzerland. We don't have a Russia, obviously. And we wouldn't have that even if we had the Olympics, right?
That area
Actually,
we don't talk about.
We might have it if we had the Olympics, but right now they're not going. The NHL players, it's still just we're going to do it if we can.
Mm-hmm.
It's still an if we can situation. The Winter Games are a year from right now.
Wow.
In Italy.
Time flies.
A year. This time next year, we will be stick deep in the Winter Olympics. I've actually started watching downhill skiing.
Have you?
Oh, I love alpine skiing.
I love. I'm so intrigued by it. I have not skied, but looks a little terrifying when they're going that fast.
Yeah, they're crazy people.
Yeah.
Literally, they're nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I watched because Lindsey Vonn is back.
Oh, is she?
At age 40.
Look at her go. And she had some bad injuries, too.
Dozens.
Yeah.
She's I think only half flesh and blood.
Yes.
The
rest is glitter and
it's
miracles.
titanium.
Yeah.
She is put together. She's like a rebuilt 57 Thunderbird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was watching some of the World Championships from where was it? Austria over the weekend. I am an addict for that stuff, but I also like the Nordic, the cross country.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why that stuff fascinates me, but it does. And skiing I never skied as a kid, but I kind of felt that it's almost like when you hit a golf shot well for the first time, it's got you.
Yeah.
As soon as you ask anybody who's started playing golf later in life, the first time you hit a ball flush, you go, oh no. It's got you. It's got you.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time you negotiate even a bunny slope in skiing, the first time you do it,
it's over.
It's got you.
Yeah.
It's got you. So, and I came to it very, very, and we haven't been in a while, but very late in life, but man, it is it's one of the coolest things I have ever done.
My snow activity is usually sitting down on a sled, but
Right.
it's fun. I still feel the air through my.
I wouldn't get on a sled and go down some of the hills I've been down on skis.
Oh no, yeah. Woo! At least when I fall, I'm already there.
Exactly.
So.
That's true. Well, I'm not that tall. So, all right, we got a lot of things to do. Ross Martin's going to join us in about 10 minutes. We'll talk about that disaster, and let's start with it. So, for 10 minutes, it looked good. 10 minutes. Carolina led Clemson by 2 midway through the first half. And then it just all went away. The Tigers outscored the Tar Heels by 18 the rest of the half. UNC was down 16 at the break, and you thought, all right, halftime score, yeah, you got a big deficit, but they've been down before. They'll come out, they'll make a run in the second half. Oh, no, they did not. They looked deflated, discouraged, way more that than determined in the second half, and Hubert Davis on his level of disappointment.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about in the game is, and I think it was a question after the game on Saturday in regards to a sense of urgency, and I said, no, it's a sense of emergency. And that's the type of mindset that you have to have in your preparation, practice, and play every day. And it doesn't guarantee you that things will work out your way, but without it, you have no chance. And so from that standpoint, just sad.
All right. That sounds like a defeated coach to me. And that's unfortunate. I said a week ago, though, after the game against Duke, because there were people who really looked at the last 10 minutes of that game as Carolina, which was at one point down 32 to the Blue Devils. I think the final score was 17. There was a 17-point margin. That people took something out of that. Well, at least they didn't stop fighting. Yeah, but I also think that, if anything, Duke was merciful in taking their foot off the gas. Keep in mind, Clemson is legitimately good. Like, this is not a joke. This is not Clemson of 10 years ago. They are a team that could make a run in March. No doubt about it. So, they're talented, they're experienced, they're physical, they can bully you. I kind of think they did that to UNC. 45% offensive rebound percentage for the Tigers yesterday. And like, we know where North Carolina's vulnerabilities lie. Victor Locken was unplayable. 6'11" guy, 4 of 5 from three-point range, a bully around the rim. I mean, UNC doesn't have anything that can prevent that. Nothing. Zero chance for that. They don't have the horses. We've been talking about it all year long. When you look at the roster, you go, okay, backcourt perimeter seems okay. Seems really good, actually. And there's a lot of possibilities there and promise. If they only had an interior presence they could rely upon. They do not. At all. We spent a good chunk of the first part of the season going, man, if R.J. Davis was only playing well, they'd be fine. Well, don't look now, but R.J. Davis is playing well right now. Almost 45% three-point shooting in his last 7 games. Carolina's lost 5 of them. It ain't about whether or not R.J. Davis can play. It's about basically all of the other guys. And right now, I know I'm gonna read you a Seth Trimble quote in a minute. A little disturbing. Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, no good last night. It's understandable. You're playing on the road in the conference in a difficult place to play at Little John, and Clemson's good. So, okay, I get it. Elliot Cadeau should be better. 6 turnovers. Really think it should be 7 because one of the turnovers charged to R.J. Davis was really Elliot Cadeau's fault. Pass it to him as he's about to step on the end line. That shouldn't be his turnover, but I guess it is. Cadeau needs to be better. He just has to be. He's all over the place. When he's good, he's really good. But when he's no good, he drags you the other way because he gets lost in his own head. Let me read you this Seth Trimble quote, and then we're going to move on and talk about a couple of other things before Ross Martin joins us. Seth Trimble. I honestly thought guys were really dialed in today. I thought guys understood what this game meant for us. I thought guys understood how good this Clemson team was, but I guess not. I thought so, but I ended up being wrong. Nothing good there. Nothing good when a good player and an experienced player, but not your best player. Nothing good when he is calling out the team. That's disappointing. I mean, I don't know if it's disappointing to hear it in terms of he shouldn't say it. It's disappointing that that's the way he feels about his teammates. And I keep saying this. I don't like the word quit, but I understand it's just a euphemism. I think North Carolina, in many games, plays with a sense of defeatism. Like they know what's about to happen, especially because they know where their vulnerabilities lie. So we'll talk about a lot of these things with Ross Martin, who's going to join us in just a couple of minutes. All right, let me get to some NFL, just kind of here and there things, and then we'll fold this back into UNC. We know that the Eagles are going to open up the season on Thursday night at home. First Thursday night of the season after Labor Day. But against which of the following 8 teams? Denver and the Raiders from the AFC. Those are the 2 AFC teams that will visit Philadelphia. The Rams, the Bears, and the Lions from the NFC outside of their division. Washington, Dallas, or the Giants. It's the opening game of the season. It's going to be either a team on the rise or an established, playoff, perennial playoff team that eliminates both AFC teams. Maybe the Rams, who are a playoff team. I doubt it, especially if Matthew Stafford's not there, and there's no way the NFL would know that right now. I don't think it'll be the Bears. Could be Detroit, except if I'm Fox, I am not giving that game up. So it's more than likely going to be, and we do not have opening games normally within the division. They are normally either interconference or interdivision. But I think we're going to have a division game here. And it'll probably be Washington. Could be Dallas. Just because of the pull of the name. Could be Dallas. So that is something to think about. I don't know when that will be announced. Probably in the next month or so. I'm not sure when the NFL will actually announce their schedule, but something to think about. My guess is that it'll be either Washington or Dallas. No way Fox is going to give away, or NBC, like later in the season, going to give away Detroit, Philadelphia. Are the Kansas City Chiefs going to cut Travis Kelce?
I don't think so.
Maybe. Here's why. $19.8 million cap hit next year. They save $17 million against the salary cap if they cut him. It's pretty big.
That is.
So
he was underwhelming this season.
He didn't have a great year. He had great moments.
But
right?
that's a problem. He only shows up for like little snippets. He was a disappointment during the regular season. And then the postseason, he caught a few passes. And it's like, oh, that's the Kelce we know.
Well, 4 catches. I don't think this game, the Super Bowl, was about Travis Kelce not being good enough.
No.
I really don't. But it is something to think about because he has talked about, there's been some rumors that he's going to retire.
Yeah.
He's 35.
Yeah.
So
just tour with your girlfriend. I'm sure she has a great benefit package.
I'm sure. Well, he's done that before.
Yeah, he's come out with a top hat.
I do wonder if they're going to stay together. Yeah. What if he doesn't play? If he doesn't play, she has.
I know.
She might not. No more games.
Got to get another football boyfriend.
We keep talking about where Aaron Rodgers is going to wind up. We'll talk about that later. I'm more curious as to where Matthew Stafford is going to be, because Stafford to me is the older quarterback who can absolutely still play.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm not sure. I don't think Aaron Rodgers can.
No.
I think Stafford can. All right. Let's talk about last night. Ross Martin, 24/7 Sports, and the Big Hitters Only podcast. All right, sir. How do you make sense of the last 30 minutes of last night's game at Clemson, other than Clemson is significantly better in terms of their personnel than UNC?
Yeah, I mean, this is the worst game of the season, I think, in terms of just the lack of effort. Completely beat down, no fight. I thought the game was over. I mean, it was down 16 at halftime, and within the first 4 to 8 minutes of the second half, it felt like the game was over. I mean, UNC didn't make any sort of deficit in the 20 points they were down, and ended up losing by 20. I thought it was to go down as kind of, the time we realize the season is pretty much over. I think the hopes of some sort of run are out the window, and this team is just not good. They won't win many games. They won't win enough games in tournament to make the tournament, an ACC tournament, and there's not enough games left to get a good net win left. So it's pretty bleak and dark times right now for the Tar Heels in Chapel Hill.
So as I'm watching the game, Ross Martin, Big Hitters Only podcast, is joining us at Ross Martin NC on Twitter. As I'm watching the game, they go through the second half exercise of sort of, well, this UNC team, they're going to hire a GM. I kind of felt like those were reaching for excuses. Like last year, they didn't have a GM or all of the other things that Hubert Davis said they were going to sign. And even if they may be kind of overachieved in terms of their record, they were still a top 25, top 20 team last year. They were on the one line. So, like, they were good enough last year to be really good during the regular season. Isn't it just about they missed in either recruiting at a high school or recruiting in the portal?
Yeah, I mean, it shows how important it is to hit on the transfer portal. They needed, I think, at least two pieces to make this team, a top 25 viable, NCAA team, and they missed out on a big man, on any sort of big man. And then really they expected Kay Tyson, who was a top 30 guy in 24/7 Sports transfer portal rankings, to be a 6'7" shooter, kind of like a Brady Manick type, and he's been a complete bust. So they missed out on a big man, and then they had a complete bust in the other position they needed. So it leaves them with a very, very incomplete roster, and we knew that going in. Like, everything we expected about this team is coming true, and you're seeing it. It's just there is some talent, but there's not enough pieces around the talent to make this team competitive against high-level ACC teams. And then in addition to just the lack of incomplete roster and lack of a big man and lack of necessary shooters, they have undersized backcourt.
Yeah.
And R.J. Davis and Elliot Cadeau. It kind of poses some problems defensively and his ability to score at the rim. And they have no shot blocker. And they have no semblance of a front court that can provide any sort of offensive boost. And then your best players on paper, probably Ian Jackson and Drake Powell, in terms of NBA talent, are rookies. And so the roster is just poorly constructed, and you're seeing that effect out. We saw it early on, and we saw it throughout the season, but now the fight is gone as well, because, they played really well against teams like Kansas and came back and at least showed some fight and, kind of had to, all right, this team can maybe mold into something special. But now, I mean, the Duke loss and then the Clemson loss last night just showed the team it seems like, I don't know, losing the locker room, as some of you would say, or just lack of fight, and it was just really embarrassing last night.
Ross Martin from 24/7 Sports is joining us here. Ross Martin NC on Twitter. Seth Trimble's comments after the game basically saying, I thought our guys understood, what position we were in and how good Clemson was. I guess I was wrong. How do you read those comments from Seth?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about on the podcast last night that, like, this was, like, the last chance for UNC to have a really good, solid quad one win to boost their resume for the tournament. So, like, they should be very well aware of how important this game is. And they came out okay in the first half, and then, Clemson went on a huge run, closed out the first half, and they fell apart in the second. So, like, there was just no fight, no urgency. Hubert used the word emergency, and that didn't show. It didn't translate from what they needed to show onto the court. So, yeah, I think it was super deflating, and I think UNC's season ended last night, and the players just didn't have much to say, and Hubert in his press conference doesn't have much to say either. Like, it seems like they have no answers. I think they kind of know what this team is. I think we realized what this team is about, 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe the turn of the new year too. Like, just they don't have it this year for a multitude of reasons, and it's all coming to a head right now with 7 games left.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been saying this really since the beginning of having watched them against really good competition and competing and coming back against good competition. They had to rally to beat UCLA. They rallied to actually take the lead against Kansas. So they played top-level competition and competed better. I do think that they are absolutely discouraged. They have no answers. I think it's the realization that the roster just has no answers. If Jalen Washington were more advanced at this stage, if Van Allen Lubin were taller, right there, because you said this and I talked about it, a month and a half ago. You look at him, you go, there's just nothing inside. So the one thing that North Carolina was always good at, rebounding, they're not good at. And Clemson bullied them last night, 45% offensive rebound percentage for the Tigers.
Yeah. And another thing is, like, they have to hit threes. Like, for a team that's this small and guard dominated, they have to be, like, shooting 35, 40% every game and just drilling threes. And R.J. Davis just doesn't have this year. You would kind of expect him to take a step back, but he's completely been like a no-show in some games and has to shoot a high volume of shots to get his points. And all the attention's been on him, and he hasn't really risen to the occasion. And so they're missing that dominant three-point shooting, which they had to have. They had to be so good on perimeter to kind of compensate for the lack of talent and scoring elsewhere, and they don't have that this year. Like, no one's really a go-to perimeter scorer because Ian Jackson's fallen flat. R.J. Davis doesn't have this year. Seth Trimble is up and down. Cadeau is kind of up and down as well. So it's just kind of a perfect storm of roster issues and talent and size.
Yeah, but first of all, the last 7 games, R.J. Davis looks like he does have his three-point shot back. He's about 45% over the last 7 games, but his shot volume is down.
Yeah.
So he's not doing any, 5 of 11s. They're 3 out of 5s or 3 out of 6 or things like that. Yet Cadeau, it's kind of amazing. Cadeau hit the 3 and the N1 at Notre Dame, right? That's one of the wins that looked like it was going to resuscitate their season, and it did for a hot minute. But he's a 30% three-point shooter. Trimble is below 30%, and these are guys that play heavy minutes. Jackson was a no-show. I'm surprised he was out of the starting lineup. He played only 16 minutes. Drake Powell also came off the bench. He had been playing much better of late. But yes, they don't have consistent three-point shooting anywhere. Again, Davis looks like he's come out on the other side of that. But he's also the only guy, and they don't have a way to make it easier on Davis. I want to ask you about Hubert. And this is not about, look, fans are going to fan, right? It's time to move on. I've seen it all over the place. I don't believe – I mean, it could. They could certainly decide to make a change. I don't think that'll happen this year. I think Hubert will have the ability to restaff it, maybe look for assistant coaches outside the Carolina family Who knows? But what's the level of confidence that you have in Davis to turn this back around?
He's shown the ability to hit in the portal just as much as he's shown the ability to not hit. You have the Brady Manick year, you have the Pete Nance year, you have last year with Harrison Ingram, Cormac Ryan, you have this year with Kay Tyson. So he has to nail it in the portal next year. They're bringing in 3 freshmen, but I think they're going to lose a lot from this team. Like, who knows what happens with a player like Cadeau or Trimble who already entered the portal last year to come back. So it's going to be a complete roster switch up. They'll bring in 3, 4, 5, 6 players from the portal. If not, they're going to have to completely revamp the roster. So you're going to have to hit on everything. And can you trust Hubert, who missed out on a big man, and some other players last year to do that? I don't know. And then I just think the offense is so stale. It's super frustrating. You always think about UNC being able to score so easily under Roy Williams, and you saw that in the last couple of years with Hubert as well. I think the talent and the roster is affecting that, but the offense is just so bad. 4 out, high screens, standing around, no back screens, no movement, not running anybody off, multiple screens. So I think there needs to be a complete switch in how they operate. So that means bringing in some outside coaches. Obviously, I think the move to hire a GM, which seems to be in the works, I think has been put on Hubert by administration. They need that along with some other staff members in addition to what they have right now. So I think you're going to see it's like a turning point in Carolina basketball where they're kind of going to go all in on Hubert, support him, provide him with everything he needs from a GM to additional staff members to the NIL money, and see what happens next year. But next year will be the big year. If he does come back, if they lose out or lose 5 of the next 7 and don't win in the tournament, I think Bubba has a super tough decision because he's feeling some pressure from a lot of different places to make a call on Hubert. So I think Hubert has to show something in the next couple games to save his job potentially. But for everything we understand from what Inside Carolina's reported, he is coming back as of right now.
Sure.
So you got to kind of treat it like he's coming back with a huge year next year. That depends on a lot of portal success.
All right, I'm going to ask you one more question about recruiting in a second, but at Syracuse could be a problem. At Florida State could be a problem. Home against Duke will be a problem. Like I don't share the same optimism coming out of the game at Cameron that they fought. I thought Duke was merciful in that game. I thought they could have won that game by 50 if they wanted. But I just don't. The league's not good enough. They're not going to lose out. I mean, they'll win probably 4, maybe 5 of their remaining 7 games. The record will look better than it is, and they'll decline an NIT invite unless they win the ACC tournament. But I keep going back to this, and I mean, nobody agrees with me, so I'm probably wrong. I do think it's about high school recruiting, not about portal recruiting. That the portal should be guys that just enhance what you've got. They haven't pulled a legit, top 5 NBA draft pick high school recruit in how long?
Yeah, it's been a while. They haven't had a big man since Armando Bacot that's been worth anything. Yeah, I mean, you would think that's how it should be. I think that's kind of the old way of thinking to develop players like that. But they're bringing in Caleb Wilson, who's a 5-star, but right. I don't think he's going to be an instant impact player. He's a top 10 kid, but I don't think he's like a dominant, really, really super talented guy. I'm not even sure he's a one and done. And they have 2 guards who are around the top 50 range. They're going to have to supplement the talent with transfers and impact transfers. I mean, there might be 3 or 4 starting positions available depending on what happens with Cadeau and Trimble, and if Drake Powell goes to the NBA. Like, there's going to be a lot of open playing time because I don't think you can run with Jalen Washington and Van Allen Lubin. Like, if they want to have a better year next year, they're going to have to land some incredibly impactful transfers because what they have coming in recruiting-wise won't cut it. I don't think they have some one-and-done stud in this recruiting class. But, I mean, yeah, you would hope it's development and recruiting, but it's just not the way it's been recently for a lot of teams.
But to me, it's not even about developing. I mean, Duke's not developing Cooper Fleck. right? They didn't develop Paulo Banchero. I mean, they enhance what he, when he gets there. Obviously, they improve. But these guys, everybody knows they're here for 1 year, and then they're off to be a top 3 pick in the league. Carolina has not gotten any of those players, and I can't even remember how long. And that, to me, you need to have a stud come in. And, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it certainly worked up the street for the Blue Devils. Ross Martin, Big Hitters Only podcast. You can find it wherever you get your great podcast, at Ross Martin NC. I appreciate your time, man. I don't think it's as bad, but I do think that this season is kind of in the bin, as they say.
Appreciate it, Adam.
Thanks, man. Take care. Ross Martin here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, when we come back, real quick, it's not good. Nobody is saying it's good. This team is always going to be challenged because of their roster. Always. Jalen Washington isn't there. Van Allen Lubin is a rotation player on a good team. And he's got to start. And Washington isn't capable of, really impacting the game. He did at State. But that's it. Anyway, this is going to be a tough end to the season, I think. I think they'll play well. They'll win games. But it's not a tournament team. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Four Nations tournament, including Seth Jarvis's new BFF and the rumors surrounding, not really well-founded rumors, Mikko Rantanen. Next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
In no way, shape, or form are the Dallas Mavericks title contenders. To me, it's more likely they don't make the playoffs than win a title. They're not winning a title. They're not getting to the finals. This is not a finals team by any stretch of the imagination. They got worse now and later.
I vehemently disagree. I think the Dallas Mavericks are closer to a title.
Unsportsmanlike.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Roses are red, rosés are pink. Total Wine & More has your Valentine's drinks. A tasty champagne makes Valentine's shine, and so does a glass of sparkling wine. Need a great idea? We'll help you pick. But hurry, because Friday is coming up quick. With the lowest prices for over 30 years and curbside pickup and delivery available, find what you love and love what you find this Valentine's Day. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Time to get ready for golf season, and Global Golf is ready for you. Global Golf is home to Carolina's largest selection of pre-owned golf clubs and can help every part of your game, from lessons, club fittings, and repairs. Don't forget, we take trade-ins. Bring in your current clubs and get store credit towards your new clubs. You're invited to Global Golf, open Monday Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria here on the ones and twos. Four Nations tournament starts tomorrow. Canada, Sweden in game 1. The United States and Finland will play Thursday. I think there are 2 games on Saturday. Then they play games, I think, Monday and Tuesday of the following week. I'm not sure when all these games are. But every nation will play 2 games. 3 games in a round robin. And then the 2 top teams will meet in the championship game. And I think the championship game is Wednesday. And that will give some players a couple of days off before the league resumes again, I believe, Saturday night. I think it's the 22nd of February when the NHL drops the puck again, and that will be Hurricanes will be in Toronto. Mm-hmm. Then they go to Montreal, and then they come home to take on Buffalo on Whalers night on the 27th. So the league is basic. This is their all-star game. And that's really the way I think a lot of players are looking at it. It's fun to play for your country, and they all want to win. But this will not have the normal intensity of an Olympic hockey tournament because it just can't. And again, it's a quick event. There are not a lot of games. There's not an extensive medal round. There's only 4 teams. So, I mean, you could make an argument that they should simply have 4 teams, have it be a single elimination tournament, and that'll be it. Draw lots, or have the 2 USA and Canada, which are the 2 favorites, have them on the other side. USA versus Sweden, Canada versus Finland, boom, winners play. You could make the argument that that's what it should be. But we're going to play however many games it takes, right? So what? However, 6 games, and then have a championship match. That's fine. Rod Brindamore does not like it. He told me so on Saturday. I said, "How do you like the 4 Nations?" He goes, "I don't. We shouldn't be shutting the season down for this. It's not the Olympics. It's not everybody. It is best on best, but is it really? Okay. I'm sure there will be players who will look at it differently than others. There have been players who have been withdrawn due to injury. Quinn Hughes from the United States, Alex Pietrangelo from Canada. They will not go because of injury. Mikko Rantanen did not play in the last game for Carolina. He is playing for Finland. Sidney Crosby missed the last 2 games for Pittsburgh. He is playing for Canada. I believe he's the captain. Anyway, I got this question, and we'll get into Four Nations. We'll preview it tomorrow with John Forslund. What do you, from Hunka Burnham Hunka, what do you think of all the talking heads saying the Canes would consider moving Mikko Rantanen by the trade deadline? Basically, if they can't get an extension done by the deadline. I believe could is different than would. Could? Sure. Never recoup what they gave up. So, doubt it. Would? No. No. This was not what amounts to a 10-game trial run with Mikko Rantanen. Because, again, we're talking about 10, maybe 12 games that he could have played between the time of acquisition and the trade deadline. It was not a 12-game, tryout. The Hurricanes believe that they will be able to create an environment in which Mikko Rantanen wants to exist for the next 8 years of his NHL career. That's what they believed. They believed that when they made the trade, they believe that today. And whether or not he re-signs, nobody knows. But the arguments that are being made as to why Rantanen won't re-sign are all empty. Every single one of them is empty. Well, that's not what the Hurricanes do. Are the Hurricanes really going to pay $14 million for Mikko Rantanen? Yeah. If Rantanen wants to be here, they are willing to pay him what it takes to get him. Now, the Hurricanes are not going to try to buy Mikko Rantanen's affection. If Rantanen wants to be here, then money will not be the reason he doesn't. The only way he is not a Hurricane next year and for the following 7 after it is if he doesn't want to be. It will not be because they didn't come up with the contract. Oh, but Jake Guentzel. They screwed up the Jake Guentzel thing. There is no question about that. But as Eric Tulsky has pointed out, and man, I tried to, it was at the expense of other players. They were willing to pay him $8 million a year eventually. They tried to get away with paying him less, and that's what cost them. Because they waited until a couple of days before decision day to finally meet the asking price. We said this before. The Hurricanes put themselves in a position to lose. That will not be the case with Mikko Rantanen. If he wants to be here, the money will not be the problem. They've got about anywhere from $35 to $40 million in cap room for Rantanen, and not that many players to sign next year. They know that they're going to have some rookies, additional rookies, dotting the lineup. Alexander Nikishin, assuming they can sign him, and I think that will not be a problem. I'm pretty sure he'd rather play in the NHL than the KHL. Scott Morrow may be here. We might have another rookie forward. Maybe it's Bradley Nadeau. Who knows? So they're going to have more than enough cap room to support Mikko Rantanen and even good players beyond him. So it's not going to be about money. They didn't have that with Jake Guentzel last year. If you signed Guentzel, you could not physically have signed Martin Necas. No way you could have done that. Hey, some people would take Jake Guentzel over Martin Necas. I'm not going to have the debate. But it was a choice. If Guentzel were signed, Necas would have been traded. Guaranteed would have been traded even if it was only for a first-round pick. So obviously that didn't happen. It will not be about money, and that's what it's coming down to. Well, the Hurricanes don't do this. Yep. Let me throw out one more quick thing, because I heard a conversation about another player on a different team about, man, he just signed this contract. It's going to pay him $7.2 million over the next 8 years. He's going to be so underpaid. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people saw the salary cap rising to almost $114 million 3 seasons from now. But that's where it's going to be. So you want to talk about underpaid? Let's talk about Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis is going to make almost a little bit more than half of what Mikko Rantanen is going to make. Process that when you're talking about the Hurricanes and their salary cap structure. Now, same thing with Andrei Svechnikov. Of course, Svechnikov has not had a good year. Jarvis is having a very good year. So I am looking forward to Rantanen, as long as he wants to be here, being here for a long period of time. And final thing on this, 10 seconds on this. Apparently nobody thinks that it's fault is not the right word, but it's Rantanen's responsibility to play. He's had chances. He has one goal. He has 2 points in 5 games. He's had plenty of chances. Those will start going, and everybody will stop worrying about what his future is. We'll take a break. We'll come back with one-timers next.
From the heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the Canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and my friends at FanDuel are here to remind you that we are almost in March. That's college basketball's month, and right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks, somebody else's money, to bet on everything from conference titles to tournament upsets, even who's going to be cutting down the big nets. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
If you need health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Terrence and Jody when they got married, and Sophia when she had a baby, and Gary when he moved and needed new insurance. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Think about how good you feel when someone looks you in the eye and smiles. It makes you want to do the same. A smile. A simple word of thanks for a good deed, no matter how small. Passing on the simple expression, have a great day. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
I choose to stay up to date on my vaccines to protect what matters most, my community.
Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you.
So make sure you have protection against new virus strains that continue to spread this fall and winter.
Don't wait. Get up to date.
Because my health is our health.
Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Don't wait. Get your updated shots today.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. Next hour, Dan Rogers of Front Office Sports. He is the editor-in-chief. We'll talk about the business of the NFL. He had a lot of interesting guests down there at Radio Row. We'll dig into the 18-game schedule, international NFL games, the future of that. Will there ever be a Super Bowl played in Europe? And also the future of gambling and the National Football League. We got some stuff to talk about with Dan Rosen, and we'll do that next. Dan Rosen, I just made up a guy. Actually, I didn't make up a guy. It's a hockey writer. Dan Roberts from Front Office Sports. Right now, one-timers.
Okay, well, this is all about the football with the feet. So, first...
What? Really?
Or not football with the feet, football with the hands. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know.
Wow, where did that come from?
I would have a lot of questions to ask at that point. But no, still talking about the Chiefs. So I know Stephen A. here recently is blaming Andy Reid for the offensive issues. So do you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts on that take?
Blaming Andy Reid
for the offensive issues in that game, in the Super Bowl.
Well, Andy Reid didn't block anybody either, so yeah, sure.
I mean, I guess if you want to have that.
I'm not really sure why you'd blame the head coach. I mean, the coach, good coaches always take responsibility. I didn't have this. Weren't prepared. The preparation wasn't the issue there. I mean, that'd be silly. A guy who was always better prepared than his coaching opponent? No. It was about we could not block them. That was really what it was about.
Yeah. Okay, well, sticking with the Chiefs. So I know a lot of people noticed that throughout the season, the NFL season, the Chiefs just won games out of nowhere. I mean, against the Raiders, against us, the Panthers, very close games. So did this Super Bowl expose the Chiefs for the team we all maybe thought they were?
Well, I don't know, man. You keep winning those games. There's a reason you keep winning those games. You figure this would be a close game. If you go back and you look at the teams the Chiefs beat, they beat a lot of great teams in that run. They did not have an easy schedule and still were able to beat all those teams. So, no, I don't think they were exposed other than they could not block Philadelphia. Again, I hate to keep falling back on that, but sometimes the simplest excuse is simplest reason is the right one. And I just think it came down to they just got whipped at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, well, last but not least, I know you mentioned it earlier about Travis Kelce staying with the Chiefs. If you were Andy Reid, would you keep Travis Kelce?
No. And I love Travis Kelce. And I actually started thinking, could they cut Kelce and bring him back? And I don't think you can do that. But would they renegotiate a contract to lessen the $19.8 million cap hit? I think they would. We'll run it back next.
talking sports, so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Kudos, Carl. You've always had a need for speed. Racing anything with wheels. Yelling out 3, 2, 1 at every traffic light. But this time, you've taken your power obsession to the next level. By purchasing this electric vehicle, you've given yourself instant torque that blows your old launch times away, which will keep you saying, woo-wee, every time you punch the pedal. Good for your adrenaline, great for the planet. That's the power of EV. Sponsored by the NC Clean Energy Technology Center and the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters in cooperation with this station.
This Valentine's Day, if you really want to impress me, how about a romantic meal at home from the Butcher's Market? So we each get a juicy filet mignon, lobster tails, twice-baked potatoes, and 4 long-stem chocolate-covered strawberries. Pretty romantic.
Right. And the folks over at the Butcher's Market have made it so easy for guys like us. I just order online, and it'll be ready for pickup when I walk in the door.
So what are you waiting for? Visit thebutchersmarket.com now. Trust me, you'll be glad you did.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling. Quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. February is the month for love. And everybody's going to be getting down and dirty. Well, if you had to get down and dirty on your carpets and floors, would you be afraid of what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, it's also the biggest air filter in your home. Get your house Zero Resified and get all those scary smells far away from where you should be having a wonderful month of love. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned starting at $109 and $100 off air duct cleaning this month from Zero Res. It's going on until February 28th, so visit zerores.com or call 919-995-0000. That's zeroresraleigh.com or 919-995-0000. Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards, it spells the same.
Looking for a new vehicle? Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford is one of the only dealerships where you can shop all 4 brands under one roof. Get unbeatable deals on new and pre-owned vehicles. Our expert service department keeps you on the road, and our full body shop handles any repairs. It's all here at Wilkinson, where quality and convenience come first. Drive with confidence, drive with Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC on NC 87 South in Sanford or online at wilkinsoncars.com.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Learn more at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
So take it easy. It's The Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Is this because it was an easy... Yeah.
Oh, no, it's all Eagles bump songs today.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
To what do we owe this honor, pleasure?
The Eagles winning the Super Bowl?
Oh.
So I figured why not just have... the Eagles have a lot of really good songs, so I thought perfect day to play the Eagles' greatest hits.
I cannot believe that I didn't get that.
it's fine. It's Monday.
Why are we bumping with the Eagles today? I don't know.
Oh, no reason.
Never mind. Yeah, that was the thing that happened yesterday.
It did.
Gosh. What an embarrassment. What an utter embarrassment.
But you got your Coke Zero, I think. Or coffee. There's something in the mug. So.
Yeah, something. Need it to be something stronger, maybe. That'll be for later in the week. All right, so yeah, that was that. Dan Roberts from Front Office Sports. We will talk Super Bowl. 126 million people are projected to have tuned in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you saw it on social media. There were a number of people who said we should protest.
Ah, yes.
People are going to watch the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
If you were going to watch the Super Bowl, you were going to watch the Super Bowl. You weren't going to protest because of whatever is going on in the world, whether you're in favor of it or not. Our habits don't change.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to watch the game, you're going to watch the game. It's whatever. I'm not slamming people for saying those things, but it was never, ever, ever going to impact the number of people who watched. Yes, it was 126, less one person who was going to watch the game, but then went,
no.
You know what? I'm mad, so I'm not going to watch. 126 million people watched. What I think is fascinating there is that it did appear that the game was over at halftime.
Big time.
Right?
Big time.
Certainly early in the third quarter, we knew the outcome of the game in terms of who was going to win.
Yes.
But I do think that the nature, had it been flipped, had the Chiefs been blowing out the Eagles, I think it would have lost some viewership in the second half.
Yeah, good.
But the other way around, because of how thorough the domination was,
Yeah.
I think people were like, it was like rubbernecking the accident.
We were shocked. Yeah, it's a train wreck.
Right, it was.
You cannot look at it. I was just getting really upset with it because I'm like, make it interesting. I just want to make this interesting, and it wasn't.
I was just rooting for points.
I know. Well, that's the thing. The only people who were excited to watch a game like that were Eagles fans and people who had bets on it.
I had the over. Come on, I need points. I'm doing the calculations in my head. No, don't kick a field goal, please. Go. Come on, let's go. Well, you know what? If Kansas City can just come back and make this interesting, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was at one point 27-0.
Yeah.
And I thought, all right, if the Chiefs now mount this comeback, and it was clear that they weren't going to, I'm like, how am I going to get to 49 points, which is what I needed to cover the 48.5?
Right.
I couldn't. I was like, oh my gosh, can they do this? Can the Eagles cover by themselves? They ain't going to score 49 points. And we started to get a little help. As it turned out, it went way over because the Chiefs somehow
tried eventually, if that's what that was.
I mean,
Worthy showed up to help a couple times.
They just started chucking it deep.
Yeah.
It did make you go, why didn't we try that sooner?
Right. That's
But-
exactly what I said. Maybe you should have done this 3 quarters ago.
Yeah, but they weren't. They weren't protecting Mahomes at all.
No.
So
No.
it was.
Well, and the Eagles already knew they had it in the bag, so they were reading books and, dumping Gatorade halfway through the
listening to podcasts. Yeah, they were doing all
knitting
sorts of stuff.
sweaters, thinking about what they're doing with the trophy. Like, it was done.
Turns out Jalen Hurts is going to Disney World.
There you go.
The parade
Mm-hmm.
next Friday
Ooh.
in Philadelphia, Valentine's Day.
Y'all be careful. If there's ever a parade where stuff might go sideways.
It'd be Philadelphia.
Yes.
So what I didn't watch any news coverage at all. Did we have riots in the streets of Philadelphia? Was there pillaging and looting?
There may have been a couple fires, but I did hear about horses. There were horses. And
Excellent.
also yesterday, while I was looking for seventh inning stuff, I did read that they had to grease the poles in New Orleans so people wouldn't climb it.
Right.
So I don't know if they greased any poles in Philly, but maybe.
Interesting. Have we greased the polls yet?
Yeah.
All right, there's probably a double meaning there. All right, let's run this back. And obviously we're going to start with North Carolina. And I do think it is, at the very least, discouraging what we've seen from the Tar Heels. But first of all, I think we have to remember that these games are played by human beings, right? And when it becomes apparent that there are no ways forward, I think it is a natural tendency to, give up is not the right word, but you are resigned to your fate in a specific game. You only have so much time, and you only have so many answers. And I think North Carolina realized probably 2 or 3 minutes into the second half that, yep, we got no answers for this. None. That's what happened in Durham, by the way, a week ago. But somehow, because Duke went from 32 up to, I think, 16, I think Carolina went on a 16-0 run. People thought, oh, wait, there's hope. Yeah. I believe what you want. I thought Duke was basically just letting Carolina up off the mat. And not to deliver another knockout blow, but as soon as it got down to 16, it might have gotten a little bit lower than that. Duke just pushed it back up to 22. It was like, boom. Now we're over 20 again. So it was always going to be that way. Duke's roster is significantly better than Carolina's. And while Clemson doesn't necessarily have the future NBA guys, although Victor Locken, holy cow. Clemson's big. Clemson's old. Clemson's really good. They're physical, and they bullied UNC, and that's the one thing Carolina absolutely can't deal with. They don't have a physical team. They're going to have to beat you with shooting. They're going to have to beat you with speed and quickness. And they just weren't good. And they're not that good a team. So here's Hubert Davis on being disappointed in, I guess, what he says the team's lack of urgency.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about in the game is, and I think it was a question after the game on Saturday in regards to a sense of urgency, and I said, no, it's a sense of emergency. And that's the type of mindset that you have to have in your preparation, practice, and play every day. And it doesn't guarantee you that things will work out your way, but without it, you have no chance. And so from that standpoint, just sad.
Okay, that's it's depressing to listen to, by the way, because that's a coach that doesn't have answers. Because I got news for you. North Carolina isn't going to beat good teams just by effort. Not going to happen. That's the assumption there is that the other team won't bring effort. Clemson brought effort. They brought effort and better players. Duke brought effort the previous Saturday and better players. If Carolina brings effort and has equal to or better players, they'll win also. But the problem is the second part of that equation. They don't have better players. They don't have better players than Clemson. They don't have better players than Duke. They don't have better players than Louisville. I don't think they have better players than Wake Forest. They're 1-1 against Pitt. Not sure they have better players than Pitt, but Pitt right now is in a similar position to North Carolina. They're on the, I think the last I looked at, I think they were just outside the bracketologists' projected field of 68. Carolina is also just outside of it. That's the amazing thing, is that they might still get in.
Right? There's still a chance.
Yeah, but I don't...
no, there's not a chance.
They have to win all of their remaining games. They're not going to beat Duke. I mean, I guess they could, but But that wouldn't necessarily cement them in the field. They're 1-10 in quad one opportunities. They only have one more quad one opportunity until the ACC tournament, and we don't know what that's going to look like in terms of their opponents. So the work that has to be done is the work that gets them better by the time we get to the ACC tournament, so maybe they impact the event. Anyway, but they're just not as good as Clemson, and that's the bottom line to all of that. I do want to hear one more from Hubert, because they do have to win, like, if not all of their games, they got to win the next 6 before Duke. And what are the challenges that come with that?
Yeah, the only work that needs to be done is preparation for our game on Saturday. I don't look down the line, the remainder of the season. I just think that's a waste of time. I think what is in front of you is our next game, and our next game is Saturday at Syracuse. And so that game deserves and will get our full attention because that's the next game in front of us. And after that, we'll move on to the next game. And that's always been my communication with the team, and that's what my communication will be with the team moving forward.
I mean, that's the way it has to be. I mean, I know that sounds like cliched, but if you look too far ahead, there's no way you can be prepared for the next game. You've got to just attack the next team. But what Carolina should be trying to do is, how do we get better? Use this game to get better, for Syracuse to get better, for the next one, the next one, the next one, because they have to start winning, but they're not going to just win because it says North Carolina across their jersey. They have to win because they get better as a team. They're not even close to being that good as a team at this point. Seth Trimble had some, I think, not so awesome things to say after the game. This is a quote coming out of the locker room. I honestly thought guys were really dialed in today. I thought guys understood what this game meant for us. I thought guys understood how good this Clemson team was, but I guess not. I thought so, but I ended up being wrong. Okay, that's an indictment on players, teammates. Doesn't mean he's wrong. So one of two things, you could be mad that Seth Trimble said that out loud, clearly throwing his teammates under the bus, albeit without mentioning a name. But if that's the way it felt to Seth, then it's probably what happened. That maybe there were people who underestimated how good Clemson was. All you had to do was watch their game Saturday. I realize it was right after your game, and you've got other things, but maybe you just saw the final scores. Oh, look, Clemson surprised Duke. Oh, they won't do that again. I thought that. Obviously, when you watch the Tigers, they're legitimately good. Like, good enough to be a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. And because they've got a big guy who can shoot, another big, they didn't even need Ian Shefflin to do anything yesterday.
Well, after wins, after beating Duke and UNC, you're kind of forced to look at them as legit.
They also have a win over Kentucky this year. So, they are legitimately good. I can't explain the home loss to Georgia Tech. Can't. That's like, what? What did you do?
Yeah.
But they're legitimately good. Now, could North Carolina be better? Yeah. Unfortunately, at a time of the season when R.J. Davis couldn't shoot and other players were picking up the slack, now it seems to be the other way around. R.J. Davis has his three-point shot back. He's not shooting as many, but he has his three-point shot back, and everybody else's seems to have vanished. Seth Trimble is shooting below 30%. Elliot Cadeau is at 30%. Ian Jackson went 0 for 7 or so from the field in a 16-minute, almost a cameo at Clemson. Drake Powell didn't, score as well offensively either. He had been coming on of late. So they've got some issues in terms of their own personnel, but Cadeau can't turn it over 6 times in a game. Just can't. Carolina doesn't have any margin for error. You got to play a clean game, and the Tar Heels didn't do that. But they're also, in terms of their roster, not equipped to beat Clemson, not equipped to beat Duke. It's going to be tough at Syracuse. Syracuse is going to make Carolina shoot it, and they've got some size, which I don't know if it's good size, but Carolina doesn't have good size either. So Tar Heels are in a rough spot. All right. Will the NFL go to 18 games? Will the NFL play a Super Bowl in Europe? What is the intention of international games with the National Football League? And gambling. All of that, Dan Roberts, Front Office Sports, from the Super Bowl, next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen for the Did He Just Do That?
Johnson trying to step back for a 3. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damas from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The Get That Out of Here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Have you heard the adage that an NBA regular season game doesn't start until the fourth quarter? I have. We've all lived it. And at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, the home for live betting NBA games is right in the palm of your hand. Adam Gold for my friends at FanDuel. So let's say you miss the game. You get to the start of the fourth quarter, and the favorite team is trailing by 10. Great value there. So have some fun with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and new customers can get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold for FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Get ready. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale is coming to the State Fairgrounds February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building. It'll be filled to the max with boats ready for immediate delivery featuring Suzuki Outboards. Shop center console, runabouts, deck boats, bass boats, pontoons, aluminum boats, and more, all under one roof. Boat Show only savings, discounts up to $12,000, factory rebates, and special financing on site. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale, February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building on the State Fairgrounds, featuring Suzuki Outboards, free admission and parking.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news.
What would you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time.
And skip the regular line at the airport and pay for Speedy Security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For Speedy Security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. We'll talk to Dan Roberts of Front Office Sports in just a second. Coming up next hour, our friend Konata Edwards, Nada the Scribe, on the Hornets, trying to make chicken salad, though they are challenging the Lakers' return policy. Apparently, they didn't keep the receipt. I don't know. We'll give you store credit, but you can't return Mark Williams. I don't know what they're going to do. There's definitely a Christmas shopping analogy somewhere in that whole ordeal. Dan Roberts is the editor-in-chief of Front Office Sports. He joins us on the Adam Gold Show. I know you spent a week on Radio Row at the Super Bowl. You said you conducted more than 70 interviews with players and team personnel about international play and all of that. There's a bunch of things I want to dig in because I get the newsletter every day and I devour the information in it. And I think that stuff fascinates me because I think we sometimes don't know what the players' priorities are. So I don't know how many players you talk to. First of all, thank you for coming on. I don't know how many players you talk to. What is their appetite for these international games?
Well, it depends whom you ask, right? And it's funny, Adam. On some sense, we all know the NFL wants to be the International Football League. I think that's how I phrased it in the Sunday newsletter. They want to go from national to international. Of course, I don't know if they'd have to change the name because football abroad means something else.
Yes.
And if you ask the league and executives, they talk their book. They say, it'll be great for the global game, expand our reach. We asked a bunch of players on Monday night of last week when you get media availability inside the stadium. And they were kind of split. I mean, and I'll take them at their word. In other words, I think they weren't overthinking their answers. And so we can really believe this. Half of them sort of said, I think that would be cool. I'd be down to travel. Half of them said, no, we need to keep the Super Bowl as an American thing. And it is funny to look back on those answers, especially after the Super Bowl halftime show that we did get when it was all about America and as sort of a statement in that regard. So, do I see it happening? I think if the NFL wants it to happen, it will. It's all about the money coming to the table. And the other kind of through line, the question that we asked every guest at Radio Row about the NFL and where it's going, there was international expansion, which you could, include in there doing a Super Bowl outside the U.S., and then there was adding an 18th regular season game. And I see them as similar in the sense that players can say, I don't like it. Players can say, I don't know about that. But if the NFL wants it to happen, they'll just get with the union, figure it out, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, Daniel Roberts, who is the editor-in-chief Front Office Sports on Twitter, read Dan Wright, very nice. He's joining us on the Adam Gold Show. I want to get to the 18th game, which, by the way, the commissioner said he would not institute. They could, technically, based on the last CBA, but would not institute until a new CBA was signed. And we've got 5 or 6 years left on the current one but they're going to try to get to that sooner. But to the international part of this, the commissioner said we wouldn't have, let's just say, a London Super Bowl unless we had a franchise there. So to me, what is the future? Is the NFL going to expand to London, Berlin, Madrid? Oh, I don't know. Stockholm. I just made something up. Are they gonna have a European division? Are we going to end up with 40 NFL teams, 32 in the United States, maybe 36 in the United States and 4 abroad?
I think yes, yes, and yes, right? I mean, maybe it's Canada, maybe it's London first. By the way, the Jags play in London more than any other team.
Yep.
I don't know if you end up getting the London Jaguars, and does the fan base there really care when they go play London? Do they think that's exciting? Our writer David Rumsey did a great look at this of, whether it's actually a good thing that team plays in London so much. But I think the NFL wants all of it, right? They want world domination. I mean, if you look at the numbers on Super Bowl, Adam, like we're talking about a thing that 136 million people watch in the U.S. Now, granted, bigger than last year, but you're kind of approaching a saturation point. So what do you do at this point to get even bigger? You start parceling out exclusive games to global streaming platforms that have huge reach. Netflix, Amazon Prime, they want to get bigger. They want to take over the world. So is it a franchise that's based in a foreign city? Maybe. Is it moving a current franchise that has an anemic fan base in the U.S. abroad? Maybe. Is it just playing more games abroad than ever before? Yes, that one we already know is happening. They're going to play more games in Europe and outside the U.S. next season than ever. They just announced an Australia game in 2026.
Right.
So they're all promoting that. And I actually think there's a lot to be made out of the comment from Hans Schroeder, who's an NFL media exec that we interviewed at Radio Row. He said when he went to the Vikings-Jets game in Europe this season, he said when we first started doing international games, you would look at the crowd and it was a rainbow of different jerseys. In other words, you didn't have fans of any team. It was just Brits who were like, I'll buy an NFL jersey. And he said this time, and again, take this with a grain of salt. He's talking the league's book, right?
Sure.
But he said this time, he looked around and it was actually a sea of purple and green. We had Vikings fans, people in wherever it was, London, Berlin, who say, I'm a Vikings fan. Again, I only believe that to a certain extent, but if they feel it's working, then they'll continue doing it. And then they'll feel like, let's set up a franchise, whether it's Madrid, Berlin, London first, we'll see. But in 15 years, I think absolutely.
Like we have a lot of Americans living abroad, so and they're football fans. They have an opportunity to go watch an NFL football game, a regular season game, one that matters. It's funny because the Premier League sends a whole bunch of their clubs to the United States for preseason friendlies. Right. Like Liverpool and Manchester United played at the University of South Carolina and filled. Was it Williams Bryce Stadium? I think it's the name. I might have that name wrong. They filled a 60,000 seat stadium for a friendly, for a game that doesn't count. So it's clear that there are international markets for high level, especially high profile clubs in European soccer. But any NFL team would draw. Real quick, are the Jaguars the only team that keeps the revenue from those overseas games because they play so many? Shad Khan, he owns Fulham in the Premier League, so maybe they should. They don't play at Craven Cottage, which is tiny and gorgeous that it looks on TV. They play at Wembley, but are they the only team that keeps that revenue?
Yeah, I'm not actually 100%, but I do think the Jag situation is unique, and I don't know if that's because of Wembley specifically. I think that's part of it, but it helps that, he owns Fulham and they have boots on the ground there. But clearly, it's not necessarily set in stone how the rev share works when you go abroad and play abroad there, right? There's all kinds of other costs. There's merchandise sales. So it behooves team owners to try and get their nut when we talk about playing more games abroad, right? They're going to negotiate and push to get more of a percent of that revenue. By the way, real quick, I love that you mentioned the soccer comparison because years ago when I was at Fortune, I remember going to the opening of, and God, it might have been Bayern Munich or it might have been AC Milan, but some foreign soccer club was the first to set up an actual permanent full-time office in New York, which sounds a little kind of boring and unsexy, but the movement was clear, and that is European soccer clubs feeling like we want to grow our fan base in America, and we want to do so enough that we need to have a permanent home base here. And in the years since then, many of those teams have a full-time New York office. So this is just the inverse of that.
Real quick, because my son is involved in youth soccer here, a lot of those clubs have set up youth programs and have teams that advance in competitions. Barca's got an academy in the United States. Bayern does as well. Liverpool does as well. That's what Real. They all do summer camps here. So yeah, they've tapped into that market as well. Real quick, first of all, I think every decision the NFL makes isn't necessarily about we want franchises, but they also see the real dollars that come with having these games overseas, whether it's ticket sales and promotions there, but also it's a television package, and those games will all end up being one package. Do we know that we're going to have the game in Australia? Because I think there's some pushback from the Players Association because it's a different type of flight than it is from London or Germany. That do you have to play that game? I know they're playing the Friday game in Brazil this year, like they did last year. But do you have to make that kind of the Friday game in Australia so a team has more than a week off before they get to their next game?
Well, you better give them ample time off, right? Yes. And the league is certainly touting it as official. They've announced the Rams are playing in it, but they've not announced the other team. They came by and we were talking to the president of the Rams briefly on Radio Row about this. Anywhere now is fair game, right? Because I'm with you that, if you're an athlete, are you excited about flying to Australia? That is just a long flight. Although, as our Amanda Kristovich has covered very closely over in the college game, similar kind of travel burdens and headaches that everyone is just ignoring. We ran a great story about you've got 2 California schools in the Atlantic Coast Conference now.
Correct.
Now you can say California to Syracuse is not comparable to flying to Australia. Fine. But I just bring that up because these leagues and these sports bodies and entities, if the money's there, they're just going to keep doing it. And player exhaustion be damned, right? If the money is on the table.
They don't care. They don't like the administrators in college, and we talk to Amanda a lot. The administrators in college, they can talk a good game, but Stanford and Cal, their road games, they're all here. Other than the ones they play against each other, and they only play each other twice. I mean, but these, like Cal and Stanford were just on the East Coast. They're both going to be back here. Cal and Stanford are coming to Durham to play Duke this week. Cal tomorrow, Stanford on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, it's all about getting as much scratch as they can get.
It's crazy, man. And by the way, just real quick, the student athlete thing. I mean, you're telling us that a Stanford tennis player has to fly to UVA or to Syracuse or to BC. And what about exams? I thought they're student athletes, so we'll leave that to the side. But
you can take an exam anywhere, Daniel. Daniel Roberts from Front Office Sports. He's the editor-in-chief. A couple of more quick things, then we'll let you go. The new executive director of the NFL Players Association, basically, without saying "go pound sand," he said "go pound sand" after he was asked a question about the 18-game schedule. Look, I think it's going to happen because there's no weaker union in sports than the National Football League's player. I mean, it's terrible, but there are too many players that can't afford to miss out on a year. Careers are so short that they just can't afford to miss a year's worth of paychecks. But I just think that if they were willing to do that, they'd get a better CBA. Where do you see the future of 18?
Yeah, I think that's mostly right. Greg Olson nailed it. We asked him. We made sure to ask every current and former player that we interviewed on Radio Row about an 18th game. And when you ask the current players, you get a lot of no, it's too much. I interviewed Malcolm Butler, and as a Patriots fan, one of my heroes because he won that Super Bowl against the Seahawks with the end zone interception.
Sure.
And he said an 18th game, no. He goes, we've got OTAs, preseason, practice, the regular season. He's listing it all off, and it's like, okay, but the answer from the NFL is going to be, yeah, we'll take away a preseason game. Right now it's 17-3. We'll go to 18-2, and we'll add another bye week, and they're going to get it done. And Greg Olson said, "You going to say no to the money? You going to turn down the money?" And that's it right there in a nutshell. You're right. You're not going to see some type of lockout or MLB type situation because most of these guys, so much is made of the multi-million-dollar contracts. But as you alluded to, the majority of these players, they need every game, and they're making that league minimum. And it's NFL, not for long, right? So they're not going to sit out for a year. And I think it was also Malcolm Butler who said bones don't last for long when he was talking about adding an 18th game. So what's also funny is early last week when a lot of players were pushing back on the idea of an 18th game, Warren Sharp on Twitter tweeted a screenshot, and it was actually a story I wrote at Yahoo Finance back in 2020. And the headline was, "Players push back on 17th game." Well, here we are.
Yeah.
So history repeating. it'll get done.
Yeah, and I have no doubts it will. I think careers are going to be shortened by 18-game schedules. It's probably between 16 and 14. It's also happened, although the advances in medicine maybe have mitigated that. Final thing, the only thing when I was reading this stuff on Monday that kind of got me a little angry, challenged, was the Lee Steinberg part, where he was anti-NFL in bed with gambling. It's going to lead to more situations of point shaving and whatnot. And all I could think of is, because we've obviously covered this, North Carolina we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of being able to wager, pick up my phone and make a bet, which I won the Super Bowl. Legalized wagering is what protects us from point shaving. This is how the books detect point shaving. If we dragged gambling further underground, we'd have more of those situations, not less.
Yeah, well, I think, Adam, there's a lot here, right? And you're certainly right that the case for legalization, and I've covered this stuff for years and years. I mean, I was the guy covering the rise of DraftKings and FanDuel in 2015. I wrote a cover story on DraftKings, and at the time they said, we're not gambling operators, we're DFS, daily fantasy sports. But what was smart was they always knew that any minute it would be a free-for-all, and they could say, okay, we're gambling operators as soon as PASPA was struck down, and they did. So we're talking about two things at once. The argument was always bring it out of the darkness into the light. And that's what you're talking about is like, look, people are going to bet anyway. Yep. Why not legalize and regulate it? And for many states, that has been a success. I do think in some cases, the legal betting boom hasn't been quite what was expected. In other words, I think a lot of people, if you were a gambler before, okay, just because it's legal now, do you switch to using the legal ones? You probably already have your guy. And, and then are there a lot of people who the reason they weren't big bettors in the past was because it wasn't legal, and now that they can do it legally, they say, oh, great, I'll try it. I think there are some.
That would be me.
But maybe fewer than people thought. It depends on the state. Right? So that's the argument for bringing it out of the dark. You're right. What I'm talking about, and what I also think Lee is alluding to too, it's the nonstop onslaught of the branding, the advertising, the league pushing it. I mean, it was only, 5 years ago that ESPN wouldn't dare talk about the line and the over-under on their shows. Right. And now it's just, naked embrace of. And I just think it's a lot. I mean, it's an onslaught. Again, you go to Radio Row, every single giant multi-million-dollar set is DraftKings or FanDuel, man. They're shoving it down your throats. And does that cause more of players kind of doing their own betting? Look at the various scandals that have emerged with MLB, NBA, not yet NFL so much. But sure, you could say that would have happened anyway.
Yeah, they've had it. We've had, who was it for the Detroit Lions, who was, betting from with, I don't understand. As long as you're not betting on NFL games, it shouldn't matter if you're within the team facility or not. But I understand Lee's point. I just think that it misses the reality that, and it isn't whether or not we have more gambling. I'm sure we do, because you described me to a T. Like, I have not placed a wager, an illegal wager, since I was in college. I'm well out of college, if you couldn't tell, Dan. So I literally have not placed a wager other than when I was in Vegas twice or now on my phone since 1988. So it's the only reason I do it is because it's legal.
And don't you still think, by the way, I mean, Vegas is an experience.
Absolutely.
You go to Vegas for the in-person experience. Yep. So it's not cannibalizing, but I do think that the Vegas brick and mortar casinos ignored this stuff at their own peril. And in some cases, they're getting their market share eaten into.
Although we just talked to them. They're in love with the whole thing.
So they say, right? Depends which company.
I guess MGM was okay with it.
Yeah, MGM has a good, online operation. Some of the big guys totally ignored it.
That is all true. That's Dan Roberts. He's the editor-in-chief of Front Office Sports. Hope this wasn't a painful experience. We'll do it again.
Great pleasure. I'll come on anytime.
You got
Thanks,
it.
Adam.
Take care. Dan Roberts from Front Office Sports at @ReadDanWright on Twitter. That's the thing about the gambling fears have, to me, they miss what the legalized sports betting provides. It provides a greater chance to catch people who are making a mess of the law, right? Who are point shaving, whatever. And if we didn't have it, those things would move further underground, and then we'd have no way of knowing it. So I understand the fear, and maybe it's because more people are doing it, but it's always tied to illegal gambling. The only thing it would do, like, did John Baptiste know what the total was for the national anthem? You know, depending on where you wagered on it, and you couldn't wager on it in North Carolina, but depending on where you wagered on it, the total was either 2 minutes and a half second, or it was like 1:59 and a half second, or 2 minutes and 1 second and a half. And when people clocked it, it came in at exactly 2 minutes and a half second.
Oh, wow.
Did he know? Because honestly, if I were singing the national anthem, I'm saying I would do this, but if I were, let's just say it was a clerical error and they had me sing the national anthem, well, I'm going to go over. And I'm going to place a heavy bet on me going over. I mean, that could happen. That's why you find like wealthy people.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, but those are the things that are very, very at risk. There was a story also, it was on ESPN about the history of the Gatorade bath, and now you can wager on the color of the Gatorade. What if you knew somebody who worked for the Eagles and said, by the way, we're going
right.
lime Gatorade?
I haven't thought about that. That's a lot easier to find out.
Yeah.
Like, people have to put the Gatorade in those containers.
No question.
So they know.
The league does not provide you with fully filled Gatorade containers. The
that
teams
are sealed.
do that. Right.
Yeah.
The teams do that. So you can find that information. Somebody's got it. Anyway, I'm not concerned about gambling and illegalities with gambling because I think that the legalized gambling roots it out. We'll stretch. We will place bets. I have already backed it with American currency today. Looking forward to that. I didn't do it last night, so I would have lost.
Oh, well, it's a good thing you did.
Yeah, because I was heavy on North Carolina yesterday.
Yeah.
I was very excited about the Tar Heels.
Didn't
work out for me. Well, it wouldn't have. Anyway, we'll stretch and place bets next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel's your home for live NBA betting. So even if you miss the start of the game, you're not out of luck. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, make every moment more. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change,
Healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job. And Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance. And Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
I'm Faith. I work as an American Sign Language interpreter, and I just graduated from my bachelor's program. I texted 988 because at the moment where I needed help, I realized that I didn't have access to English at the moment. Sometimes speaking gets hard for me, and they just helped me calm down, and then I was able to find a friend. It's free, and you can get in touch with people who are trained to help through all sorts of crises.
Call, text, or chat 988 24/7.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Letting someone with an item or two check out in front of you, especially when you have a cart full. By the way, it doesn't take any time to smile at a grumpy checkout clerk. Maybe they've been working a long shift. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
It's that time of year when we gear up to cheer on our favorite team. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on the team you love the most by getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They are safe and effective. Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains spreading this fall and winter. So make sure you don't miss the big game and you protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos here. So on Twitter, we have some very, very smart listeners listening to the conversation with Dan Roberts about the potential of an NFL franchise in London. I do think they won't have just one franchise in London. Nobody's going to want to play 8 or 9 road games a year. And maybe you'll play road. Maybe you'll be the road team in some of the international games. I could certainly see mitigating it. But at the very least, you're going to have to play a bunch of road games in the United States. That's a lot of travel. It's not indicative to healthy. That was almost English. So if the Jaguars were to relocate from Jacksonville to London, they have suggested that they should be the Werewolves, and then you could just be the Werewolves of London, which, of course, is a great Warren Zevon song, and also would bring to mind the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
It's not quite the same. It's not a Disney thing, but it is. It would certainly be interesting. Anyway,
yeah.
I do think that that's where the NFL is going, is that they will have 4 franchises based in Europe. That will be a division where at least 6 of your, well, again, we're talking about 18-game schedules by then. 6 of your 18 games will be played within a division. And maybe you will also have some other international games played, and you'll be a part of the, I don't know. It's very, very hard on the people who play.
Yeah.
So, but again, I keep pointing this out. They don't care.
Nope.
They don't
Mm-mm.
care. It's how much money can they squeeze out of it. And the players are in some ways complicit, and in other ways they're helpless. Let's stretch.
They could just tap me in for like a game, a season. Wonder what the rate would be for a game.
Right.
I don't know what I would do. Maybe try to kick because I can't run very fast, but who knows? So, speaking of football, there were a few little fun facts about Super Bowl 59 that I was reading about, which one you have mentioned earlier today, but we referenced this. So, people in Philadelphia, they may have greased the polls in New Orleans, but they did not in Philly because people went crazy on Sunday night. I looked this up. So fans did topple the streetlights, apparently.
Okay.
Broke windows, set fires, nasty to each other, set off fireworks, and, of course, fought each other because Philly
fans.
That's what they do. Yeah. Also, a lot of Kermit the Frogs were, set on fire or something, beaten up, I don't know if you saw of any, but people made little frog dolls
No, I didn't.
Of Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, so that all happened.
Is he a frog?
Because of his voice. They joke
okay.
about him being Kermit the Frog.
Gotcha.
That's where it comes from. But also, like you said, Jalen Hurts, he did go to Disney World, so that happened. Also, Patrick Mahomes tweeted out an apology for the performance on Sunday. I don't know if you saw this. But it says, quote, "Appreciate all the love and support from Chiefs Kingdom. I let y'all down today. I always continue to work and try and learn and be better for it. Want to give thanks to God for every opportunity He has given me. We will be back." So, which they might. I don't know. A lot of people are saying they might come back next year, but you never know with these Chiefs. So we'll see how that goes. Also, like you mentioned, 126 million people watched the Super Bowl, which was an all-time record. The previous record was 123.7. So they went up by like 2.3.
Oh, wow.
yeah. Million. Also, no shock here. Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us jumped 430% in hours following the Super Bowl. So everybody, maybe people who didn't know that song were Googling it. Also, the other person that was talked about a lot for the Super Bowl but was not in the Super Bowl, Drake, who was getting roasted from New Orleans the whole time, he was actually in Australia where he gave $45,000 to fans. One he gave $25,000 to because he was holding a sign that said Adonis for President, which is his 7-year-old son.
Right.
And then the other one was $20,000 to a woman who had a sign that said, "Kiss me, it's my birthday." Or give me $20,000. I added that $20,000 part, but he just gave it to her because it was her birthday.
Really?
So there you go. I don't know.
Happy birthday.
Also, I don't know if you knew this, but the families of the people playing in the Super Bowl had to buy their own tickets. They had to buy their own tickets to the Super Bowl, and you could buy up to 15 of them.
Families didn't get.
Nope.
Usually you get like a couple of tickets.
Right? Nope. They did not. So,
Interesting.
Yeah. I know. Which would cost a lot of dough. However, the players probably help their families, but who knows? So maybe they play some good bets and won money.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, let's. I didn't do anything yesterday, but I already have today. I'll let you know what they are as we move on. You go first.
Okay. Well, I am just I'm doing the 4 nations. So yesterday I did the Canada and Sweden one. So today it will be USA and Finland. Give me an anytime goal scorer on the American side, Sebastian Aho, plus 380.
Oh, very nice.
I know.
I like it. All right, we're going to start with college basketball. I'm going to give you 2 college basketball picks. Kentucky at home to Tennessee. Give me the Wildcats. They are plus 120 on their home court. Connecticut fell out of the top 25. On the road at number 24, Creighton. Give me the Huskies at plus 142 on the money line away from home.
All right, and the winner of who I think's going to win the USA and Finland game, give me USA to win and be over 5.5 goals. That's plus 125.
Yeah, USA's got a pretty stacked lineup. All right, so Champions League playoffs start today. Real Madrid plus 240 at Manchester City, and anytime goal scorer Rodrigo at plus 320. Like them both.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller. Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. Got a lot of compliments on the snazzy new Miller Lending sweatshirt I was wearing the other day. And I mentioned, as we were talking about it, that it should say home of the original no closing cost mortgage. It just says no closing cost mortgage, but it is the original because Gordon invented it in 1987, brought it to the Triangle in 1996, and your neighbors have been taking advantage of this program ever since. I have 11 times, 3 new home purchases, and 8 refinances, and every single time didn't pay a dime in closing costs. Saved myself about $50,000, not to mention all the times I lowered my monthly payment when I refinanced free of charge. Saved over $300 a month the last time. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
A new game has landed in North Carolina. Officials are calling this new species of game Cash Pop. So easy to play, it's out of this world. Reports confirm you just pick and match one number to win up to $2,500. With 5 drawings every day, cash landings have been cited across the state. So be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Hey guys, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and Cupid's arrow is pointing straight to Bailey's. We're here to help and make it easy for you to find the perfect gift for the one you love. Bailey's has something for everyone and every budget. We have a huge selection of jewelry and gifts for under $500, from David Yurman, Apolita, Mickey Moto, Lagos, and more. And if you're looking for something extra special, we also have an amazing selection of diamond jewelry. Shop in-store or online at baileybox.com. Give her a gift that's better than chocolate or roses with the easiest and can't-miss way to make her Valentine's Day extra special with a little black and white striped box from Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Located in Raleigh's Village District and Crabtree Valley Mall, also in Cary's Fenton, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Just a little reminder from me, Marcy Bailey. Every woman wants a Bailey box.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. This month, get 3 rooms of carpets clean, starting at $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I saw Mike Sanders' article on The Athletic. It was, Mahomes is like
time to throw was like 3.38 seconds, which time to throw is a tricky stat because one, it can imply you're having great protection, or it can imply, you're running laterally without being able to throw the ball because your receivers are covered. And when Mahomes is in those situations, his production, his EPA plummets. And this was one of those cases.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Hi, everyone. I am Adam Gold. We're on YouTube. YouTube.com/Adam Gold Show or /99.9. The Fan doesn't matter. We are here every day from noon until 3. Victoria is here. And we're going to talk a little bit about North Carolina and what happened yesterday and maybe some bigger picture stuff. Here is also some NFL stuff in the Wall of Sound, and we'll get to that. Konata Edwards, our friend Nada the Scribe on Twitter, is going to join us in about 15 minutes. The Hornets do not want to accept the Lakers' return of Mark Williams. They claim that all sales are final, and there's they have a no return policy.
Yeah, sorry, no thank you.
Yeah. The Lakers say, no, we have the receipt. And it says here that we can return it within 30 days.
Maybe if it's not been opened.
Yeah.
It's already sorry.
Right? They did. They took the wrapper off.
Yep.
You took the cellophane off Mark Williams.
Oh, man.
Sorry, you've bought it.
Like when you bought a CD. Yep, aging me, but you couldn't take the plastic off a CD.
Right.
But, yeah, they took the plastic off.
Yeah, I go back to the days of cassettes.
Yeah, I bought one of them, too.
But we'll talk to Nada about this whole dispute. It really impacts more than just Mark Williams. It also impacts Dalton Knecht, who was the major player in that deal. But there are other players involved, so we'll get to the bottom of it with Konata Edwards coming up in just a couple of minutes. Right now, time for the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, let's deal with North Carolina last night. We also look forward with NC State's head coach Kevin Keatts here in the Wall of Sound. We'll start with Hubert Davis. Frustrating after watching that.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about in the game is, and I think it was a question after the game on Saturday in regards to a sense of urgency, and I said, no, it's a sense of emergency. And that's the type of mindset that you have to have in your preparation, practice, and play every day. And it doesn't guarantee you that things will work out your way, but without it, you have no chance. And so from that standpoint, just sad.
So they did, giving up, I think they were resigned to that there's no way forward in this game last night. Now, a lot of people were pointing to the way they played the last 10 or so minutes at Cameron Indoor Stadium a week ago and say, hey, see, if we do that, we come back. And we were great in the last half of the game. And personally, I think that the game was over. Duke knew it was over. Carolina knew it was over. And Duke let up. We talk to Rod Brindamore all the time about, well, you played well in the third period, and he'll go, who cares? It doesn't matter what we did in the third period. We did that for the first two periods. And the other team plays differently when they've got a lead. And you can't pretend that Duke didn't play differently when they got up 32 with 10 minutes to go. Now, Clemson bullied Carolina really for the last 30 minutes of the game. And they didn't really let up. Although Carolina probably played them even the last 10 minutes. Yay. We don't take solace out of that, and we shouldn't. Here's Davis, and now what North Carolina's got to do, theoretically, win out. How hard is that?
Yeah, the only work that needs to be done is preparation for our game on Saturday. I don't look down the line, the remainder of the season. I just think that's a waste of time. I think what is in front of you is our next game, and our next game is Saturday at Syracuse. And so that game deserves and will get our full attention because that's the next game in front of us. And after that, we'll move on to the next game. And that's always been my communication with the team, and that's what my communication will be with the team moving forward.
It's hard to win 7 in a row in one game. I mean, I'm not saying that Carolina's got to win 7 in a row. I don't even think it's about that. But you can't say, well, we have to win out. Like, this team is 7-6 in the league. I don't care who you play. Why would you believe that this team could win out? Like, they got to win Saturday at Syracuse. And then if they manage to pull that off, then you got to win the next game. You can't ever think about it. Even good teams shouldn't think about, well, we have to go on a long winning streak here. Like, no. I mean, you got to start playing better. North Carolina's got a lot of issues. Trey Parker in NC State, at least Trey Parker at least, has been on an uptick. The Wolfpack have lost 8 in a row. Today, 8 in a row. They lost at Stanford. Parker had a shot that would have put State in front. Actually would have won it because it basically came at the buzzer. But it didn't go in. I don't know how it didn't stay in. I also don't know how Stanford wasn't called for a foul after the shot attempt. Either way. And Kevin Keats talked about the emergence of Trey Parker.
Excited about, how he's playing, and hopefully that he continues to play the way he did. He's done a really good job, and, he's getting better. He's working hard and putting in the work, and, obviously we need, someone to be able to, he's the one guy that can probably get his own shot and then create for others, and that's what I like.
All right, so let me just point this out with Trey Parker. He scored 15 points against Duke in the game at Cameron. In the previous 10 games in which he had played, he scored 14 points. I don't know what that says. To me, it says should have been playing sooner, but he wasn't playing a lot, and he was obviously not productive. 15 points against Duke, 6 against Clemson, 9 at Cal, 19 on Saturday against Stanford on the road. Now, these are all losses, but if you're State, we talked about it 3 weeks ago, trying to figure out a way to get yourself playing the best possible basketball you can play when you get to the ACC tournament. Like, let's just pretend for a second that Duke and Clemson don't want to win it. Somebody's got to. Leave that right there. All right, to football. To the National Football League. Chris Canty from Unsportsmanlike on ESPN. Because Aaron Rodgers got to play somewhere. There was a rumor that it would be Tennessee. Aaron Rodgers says, maybe not.
But if you're the Tennessee Titans organization, is that the guy that you want to build with? Is that who we going with moving forward? If we're trying to get the vibes and the culture turned around in the building, why are we going to go with a guy that has been a liability when it comes to vibes and culture seemingly every place he's played? That doesn't make sense to me. So I get the short fix, but it could be to the detriment of what you're trying to build long term. And that's why, even if I'm the Titans, who are desert thirsty for a quarterback, I'm not barking up the Aaron Rodgers tree.
All right, first of all, yeah, I don't think Rodgers would have interest in the Titans. They're no good. Rodgers isn't going to a team that he doesn't believe has a chance to win, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have that much time.
Right, and I don't understand why you would say build. Build what? Yeah. Rodgers has maybe a year left. I would argue, having watched a little bit of what they did in New York, he's no good. He's good occasionally, but that's not how you. It's not how you win. So there were plenty of weapons. They went out and got the weapons he wanted. They were just not good, and he was not good. he missed opportunities to make plays. So I can't imagine it gets any better next year. But if he wants to play, the odds, and there is a betting market for this, Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh's the favorite. The Raiders, who I don't think are ready to win either, are the next choice. The Vikings are among those choices as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I could see the other two versus the Raiders. Yeah, he's not going to the Raiders.
Yeah. And again, he's not even, to me, shouldn't even be the best quarterback available on the market. I think that's Matthew Stafford. That's going to be the market. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, maybe that's where you go. Not Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you go Matthew Stafford. The Jets should probably be interested in Matthew Stafford since they don't know what they're doing. All right, one more quick thing. Evan Cohen from ESPN, also on Sportsmanlike. And we're going to talk NBA hoops with Konata Edwards next. The Lakers and the playoffs with Luka. Yes.
What the Lakers have, which is very rare, two guys who can win a series, quote unquote, by themselves. Mm-hmm. Like if you're like, hey, LeBron, get me out of the first round. Got it. Well, I'm exhausted. What do you want me to do in the second round? Luka, get me out of the second round. LeBron, you good now? You caught your breath a little bit? Luka, you're good? Then get us to the finals. Like, that's kind of where they are, because if you look at other teams, they may have multiple great players, but not guys that can single-handedly win a series. That's why the Celtics are so great.
Yeah.
Tatum, you got this one? Brown, you got that one? We're good. This is why if you told me this Lakers team went on a big run, I'm not going to be surprised. I am very impressed with what has happened here with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Now if they could just get a big man. All right, we'll talk to Konata Edwards about it when he joins us next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morcell.
Every episode is your chance to score inside information on the Pack.
We'll set you up for Wolfpack games all season long.
And we break down the ACC competition, what to watch for as we roll towards the tournament madness.
Plus special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And when the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel. And don't you know that FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting? So don't worry if you miss the start of the game. There's still a lot for you to enjoy. And new customers can bet $5, win that $5 bet, and get $150 in bonus bets as long as you win that first bet. So pick something easy, win it, and then reap the benefits. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel and the NBA. What a pair. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Hey girl, haven't seen you downtown lately.
Nope, sticking to our go-to places.
You mean like Sharky's?
Well, we love our Sharky's. Best wings and gumbo on the planet. But we never miss the $5 sangrias on Wednesdays at the new Salt and Lime. And Mexican pints on Thursdays for $3.
You know my boy loves the House of Hops. No better selection of craft beer in the state. Loves their specials, their food trucks, and you know I love my wine. They have a wonderful selection.
And have I told you about our new takeout spot, Che Empanadas? It's right next to Sharky's. They have 20 different types of authentic Argentinian empanadas, and they are incredible, especially the breakfast ones. You gotta try it.
Sounds perfect. And how awesome is it that they're so close to each other?
Yes.
Give them a try. Che Empanadas, House of Hops, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from each other off Raleigh Road. Glenwood, and Grove Barton.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Get ready. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale is coming to the State Fairgrounds February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building. It'll be filled to the max with boats ready for immediate delivery featuring Suzuki outboards, shop center console, runabouts, deck boats, bass boats, pontoons, aluminum boats, and more, all under one roof. Boat Show only savings, discounts up to $12,000, factory rebates, and special financing on site. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale, February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building on the State Fairgrounds, featuring Suzuki outboards, free admission, and parking.
Gold. Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Konata Edwards, just a couple of minutes. One of the things we're going to talk about, obviously, is the return, the fact that the Lakers returned Mark Williams after he apparently failed a Los Angeles physical. And we'll get into the nuts and bolts of that in a moment. I do think that the person who looks the worst in this is Rob Pelinka of the Lakers, who spent a lot of time telling everybody how confident they were that Williams would be healthy, only to announce that he's failed a physical. And, well, by the way, while he was playing for Charlotte, and that they would be rescinding the trade. It's a lot of embarrassment that goes on there. There's hurt feelings with players who have to go back to an organization that tried to move on from them. The Hornets said that they were excited, air quotes, to welcome Mark back. Yeah. You just tried to trade him. I don't know how excited you could actually be. Last night in Dallas, the Mavericks played. I don't know the result of the game. I don't really care. But there were protests inside the arena because they are upset that they traded Luka Doncic. And what I find fascinating, not are the protests, not how they were dealt with, because these people were ejected from the arena, which is, again, I don't know the nature of the protest, how disruptive they were, all of that. Apparently, Mark Cuban got involved verbally, which I would encourage Mark not to. But to me, the more interesting thing that is coming out of this is how not just once, when the general manager did a couple of, like a week ago when they announced the trade, basically saying that defense wins championships and Luka didn't care about defending all of that. Mind you, they were in the finals last year with Luka and Kyrie Irving, two players who don't really care much about defending, or at least aren't good at it. And they knew that going in. This was not a surprise. But today, the person who was essentially acting as the owner, now there are multiple owners of the Dallas Mavericks. And in fact, the Cuban still owns part of the team. He sold his minority stake in the team. Anyway, so let me just what happens is the new majority owner is now the governor. Like for a time, Tom Dundon was not the sole owner of the Hurricanes. Peter Carmano still owned part of the team, but Dundon was acting as the governor, the spokesman for the team. So the new Dallas Mavericks owner was like, he is all aboard the Luka was not good for us, to the point where he essentially insulted Luka's impact on the team's culture. So they have trashed one of the best players in the NBA. They have trashed him on his way out the door. Didn't care about playing defense, didn't arrive in shape, which was a truism, and then said that he was damaging to the team's culture. I don't know if I would go as far as say it's a good idea, but that's what they did. They have trashed his impact on the franchise. All right. Again, I hate to point out something that happened, 10 months ago. Less, actually. The Dallas Mavericks were playing for the NBA title, led by Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. So take that for what it's worth. It does seem like maybe something happened in the offseason. Maybe something happened during this season. But they are in no way, shape, or form unhappy with their decision at this point. Maybe that will change if the Lakers come into Dallas and absolutely wear them out in a playoff series. I don't know if that'll change. But they are very, very happy with what they did. As for the Hornets, think about, there are two things at play here. One, the Lakers are essentially accusing the Hornets of selling them damaged goods. And like if you buy a car from a car dealership and the car continuously fails, there are lemon laws that would allow you to return the car as long as you didn't cause the failure. There are lemon laws that would allow you to return the car, I guess assuming you bought it new. The Lakers are basically calling the Hornets on a lemon law. We realized that Mark Williams had been playing, but he came to us. He failed our physical. That we didn't get in. I don't believe we got into the specifics for why he failed the physical. So we are giving him back to you. We are taking back all the things we gave you, including Dalton Connect, who did not play for the Lakers last night. It's a DNP-personal. Yeah, my feelings are hurt because you tried to trade me. And Williams did not play for the Hornets last night. By the way, LaMelo Ball got re-injured, which we should be used to this by now. So the Hornets have already had their integrity questioned because, according to the Lakers, you tried to sell us damaged goods. But the Hornets are fighting this. How does that make Mark Williams feel? I thought you were excited about his return. When you trade a player, now in some cases, the Hurricanes, when they traded Martin Necas and Jack Drury, I think you can legitimately say, yeah, there's got to be some pain when you are acquiring a player like Mikko Rantanen. And the pain was us giving away two players that we drafted and we really like, but because in order to get Mikko Rantanen, we had to give up something that we like, it sucks. And if something had happened and that trade got reversed, I do think the Hurricanes would have been excited to get Marty Necas and Jack Drury back. But in the case of somebody who has been available for only 40%, actually slightly less than 40% of their team's games, I think the Hornets were, wow, we got potentially a player like Dalton Knecht for somebody that we couldn't really rely on to be there. So I don't know if ultimately they knew that Williams would fail a physical. I can't imagine that. He'd been playing. Not always well, but he'd been playing. And then he gets to LA and fails the physical. Again, if you look at the quotes from Rob Pelinka, the Lakers general manager, he was very confident that Williams would check out physically. And then he didn't. So we'll take a break. We'll rewind. I want to talk a little bit about the Hurricanes and some unfounded rumors, really, that were opinions that don't make a ton of sense. Next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
I choose to stay up to date on my vaccines to protect what matters most, my community.
Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you.
So make sure you have protection against new virus strains that continue to spread this fall and winter.
Don't wait. Get up to date.
Because my health is our health.
Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Don't wait. Get your updated shots today.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Letting someone with an item or two check out in front of you, especially when you have a cart full. By the way, it doesn't take any time to smile at a grumpy checkout clerk. Maybe they've been working a long shift. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
I'm Faith. I work as an American Sign Language interpreter, and I just graduated from my bachelor's program. I texted 988 because at the moment where I needed help, I realized that I didn't have access to English at the moment. Sometimes speaking gets hard for me, and they just helped me calm down, and then I was able to find a friend. It's free, and you can get in touch with people who are trained to help through all sorts of crises.
Call, text, or chat 988 24/7.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with, like that person that you tried to, and then you see him 10 years later and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. We'll rewind in a little bit and we'll talk about North Carolina. The basketball program at UNC, the basketball team at UNC. I don't know if it's a program. Well, it is a program thing. It's been a recruiting thing. North Carolina just has not recruited consistently well for a while. Not at the level they should be. And that to me is the most important thing, because the foundation for your basketball program needs to be the high school recruits you bring in, not the portal. Unless you're recruiting players in their sophomore year. You know, I know, we're not going to rewind just yet, but I'll bring up, Cam Johnson, who I watched play at Pitt and then transferred to North Carolina, but he became a foundational piece for UNC. He wasn't just a one-year player. And unfortunately, when you work the portal, you're basically getting guys here for 1 year. And there needs to be more. The foundation for your team can't be guys who come out of the transfer portal, unless they are going to be there for multiple seasons. And I think transfer portal is different than the way we used to look at transfers. A lot of guys would transfer after their freshman year. Heck, for Duke, there are guys all over the ACC who transferred out of that program. But before we do a rewind, so this has been brought up to me several times, and there's a difference between rumor and opinion of what will happen in the future. There's a big difference. Because there are a lot of people who are suggesting in the hockey media, Paul Bissonnette, who works for TNT, is one. And there are others who cover the sport who have said the same thing. Hurricanes won't re-sign Mikko Rantanen when the season is over. He won't sign there, blah, blah, blah. Why? Because the Hurricanes won't pay him that. This is not what this organization does. They don't do that. They didn't sign Jake Gensel. That's a fact. They did not sign Jake Gensel. We can get into the whys. But take it from somebody who has guessed wrong on what this organization's intentions are. I was caught way off guard, not this past summer, the summer before, when the Hurricanes landed in free agency the top available forward and the top available defenseman. We can debate whether or not those were wise additions. I did not see that coming. It was Michael Bunting and Dmitry Orlov. Bunting was used in the trade to get Jake Gensel. Orlov is playing out his second and what I believe to be his final season with the Hurricanes. But I didn't think they would be involved. And then they went and got the two biggest fish. I didn't think they'd be involved at the trade deadline. Not really their style. Jake Gensel. Normally what the Hurricanes have done is operated on the margins. They were not, because what has been preached to me about what the organization values is they believe that adding a player at the deadline or through free agency comes at a significant cost. And in many ways, free agency, you always overpay for a player. Unless you are scraping the bottom of the barrel, you are going to overpay for a free agent signee. You can call it a tax, a tariff, if you will. At the trade deadline, the cost of acquiring really good players is almost always prohibitive. And if it doesn't increase your chances of winning by a lot, the organization won't do it. And what Tom Dundon said to me once was, I'm not mortgaging part of our future for a 1% greater chance of winning. To me, that's not the return I'm looking for. I don't know what the numbers were. Did Jake Gensel's presence mean that the Hurricanes were 2% more likely to win the Stanley Cup? 10% more likely to win the Stanley Cup? I don't know what those numbers were. They do. I'm sure they weren't 10%. I'm sure it was a lot closer to 2% than 10%. But they felt that they weren't mortgaging their future because they were giving up a player they didn't feel like was a real good fit in Bunting, but did have some value. And they did give up a pretty good prospect in Vasily Ponomarov, who has not yet panned out, and in fact, I believe is playing in Europe right now. Has not panned out for Pittsburgh. Either way, it was not something the Hurricanes like to do. And I didn't think that they would make the splash that they made 3 weeks ago when they signed Rantanen. I didn't think they would do it. Not at all. But they did. So it's clear that this organization feels differently about certain players. And assigning past behavior to this current situation probably isn't a good idea. I mean, if the goal is to be right, probably isn't a good idea. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that Mikko Rantanen will sign, but I will guarantee this. If he does not sign with the Hurricanes, it will have nothing to do with them not wanting to pay him. That will not be the case. And I don't think Rantanen, really, I don't think he has to be super productive between now and the end of the season, whenever that is. I think the Hurricanes will try to sign him regardless. He will stay if he likes it here. If he likes the environment, if he likes the playing style, if he likes his teammates, if he likes spending 9 months of the year based in Raleigh, North Carolina, if he likes all those things, he'll sign. Because the Hurricanes will have more than enough cap room to pay him and other players and stay under the cap. Is it going to cost $14 million a season for Mikko Rantanen? It might. But the Hurricanes are more than capable of doing that when you look at what their cap situation is going to be next year. And since I've already done some of that, the Hurricanes are going to have about $40 million under the cap with, in terms of NHL players, about 10 players to sign. You'll have to sign a goalie. You'll sign, and some of those players are going to come from their minor leagues. One, maybe two defensemen, at least one more forward that'll come from rookies, and you'll add low-earning veteran players. I think they'll probably try to re-sign Eric Robinson. I don't think that'll cost a ton. So ultimately, Mikko Rantanen is super affordable based on what they have to offer. Not to mention that the salary cap is going to grow from where it is today by about $25 million in 3 years. Even more room is being created under the salary cap. So to think that the Hurricanes won't do it because they haven't done it in the past, last year they had limited resources. They were willing to pay Jake Gensel, but it would have come at the expense of clearly Martin Necas, because when they thought they were going to re-sign Gensel, Necas was already basically out the door in a trade, and they weren't getting an NHL player back for him. They were probably getting prospects and a first-round pick. But they had already made that decision. We re-signed Gensel, Marty's got to go. It also impacted what they were probably going to be able to pay Seth Jarvis. But they ended up working that out. Long-term deal. Very team-friendly, by the way. As Gensel signed with Tampa Bay. And they were able to also bring back Necas, which ended up getting them Rantanen. So they're very, very smart with how they do things. Not always as aggressive as certain fans want them to be, but the people who are saying he won't sign, meaning Rantanen, that is their opinion. It is not based on anything factual. It is not based on what this organization believes is the best path forward for them. They believe it's signing Mikko Rantanen, which is why I said from the very beginning, this was not an all-in on this year's team. This was a move, albeit a risk, for the future. That's the way they're looking at it, I promise you. It will not be about money. As long as all of the other boxes are checked, Mikko Rantanen will be here. That's it. It will not be about money at all. Real quick, the Four Nations tournament, which starts tomorrow with Canada versus Sweden. Hurricanes have no Swedes. There's a former Hurricane. Elias Lindholm is one of their centers. I actually think Finland's roster is better than Sweden's roster. There's two Hurricanes on Finland's team, plus two former Hurricanes. Erik Haula is on Finland, and Eetu Luostarinen is also playing for the Finns. I think Finland's got a better roster than Sweden. Canada's lineup is like drunk.
Yeah.
It is insane how good Canada looks.
Yes.
That second line of Crosby, McKinnon, and I'm trying to think who's playing with them on the other wing. Like, it's just Mark Stone, I believe, is the winger, the second winger on that line.
Yikes.
You've got McDavid playing with, it doesn't even.
When you have a line of captains, like.
And they're all centers. Marner,
what?
McDavid, and Sam Reinhart for Florida. That's the top line.
Mm-hmm.
The third line is Braden Point, who is,
also pretty good.
90-point scorer, Seth Jarvis and Brad Marchand. Like, that's their third line. It is just insane how good they are.
Yeah. Wow.
But there is a weakness for Team Canada. It's not really weak because these are all really good players, right? Canada is not as good in goal as, like, it used to be where they knew who they were going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't know.
Yeah.
My guess is that it will probably be Mackenzie Blackwood. That is my guess. I know there's some talk about Aiden Hill, but my guess is that it will be Mackenzie Blackwood.
Take the over.
Look,
maybe
they're going to score plenty. Right?
Yes.
Because I don't think we're going to see a physical tournament here. I think we're going to see a lot of skating.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Jacob Slavin looks like right now he's going to play top pair on the blue line with Adam Fox from the Rangers. I think the advantage that the United States has is in goal, assuming Connor Hellebuck plays well. Here's the thing. Connor Hellebuck doesn't have a great history of playing well in big moments. He doesn't. So I saw ESPN did a ranking of every player in the Four Nations tournament. They had Hellebuck ranked third. That's pretty weighty for me. I would not rank him third. He is certainly a great goaltender. But again, his history in the postseason, his history in big moments is not awesome. He's going to have to overcome some of that over the course of this tournament. Again, it's very possible that the players aren't thinking about this as big moments as much as some in the media are. I think there are a number of people who are overselling the importance of this. It is essentially kind of an all-star game, but a better version of an all-star game. Either way, it should be fun. I think the hockey will be exciting because I think it's going to be wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of physical play.
Well, that's good. I don't want anybody to get hurt.
And that's the other thing. Everybody wants these players back.
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby missed the last 2 games before Pittsburgh, before they shut it down, and he's playing. Quinn Hughes for Vancouver is injured. He's not coming. Vegas and their defenseman, Alex Pietrangelo, is not going. And opened the door for Drew Doughty. By the way, if you're the Kings, he basically didn't play all season long, and now he's playing in this? Like, he's only been back like 2 weeks. Now he's playing in this? I'd be a little leery of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that we're going to see mostly skating and fun for however many games this tournament is. It's not many. All right, let's rewind. Let's talk about the Tar Heels. Ross Martin, 24/7 Sports, Big Hitters Only podcast. And I know they podcasted after the game last night. And I think it does speak to one thing and one thing only. I know it didn't look good. I know that Carolina was absolutely discouraged and deflated, and some people will say they quit in the second half. Sometimes you just don't see a path forward. But it is really at its core because Clemson is significantly better than UNC, just in terms of their players.
Yeah, I mean, this is the worst game of the season, I think, in terms of just the lack of effort. Completely beat down, no fight. I thought the game was over. I mean, it was down 16 at halftime, and within the first 4 to 8 minutes of the second half, it felt like the game was over. I mean, UNC didn't make any sort of deficit in the 20 points they were down, and ended up losing by 20. Thought it was would go down as kind of, the time we realized the season is pretty much over. I think the hopes of some sort of run are out the window, and this team is just not good. They won't win many games. They won't win enough games in tournament to make the tournament, an ACC tournament, and there's not enough games left to get a good net win left. So it's pretty bleak and dark times right now for the Tar Heels in Chapel Hill.
So as I'm watching the game, Ross Martin, Big Hitters Only podcast, is joining us at Ross Martin NC on Twitter. As I'm watching the game, they go through the second half exercise of sort of, well, this UNC team, they're going to hire a GM. I kind of felt like those were reaching for excuses. Like last year, they didn't have a GM or all of the other things that Hubert Davis said they were going to sign. And even if they may be kind of overachieved in terms of their record, they were still a top 25, top 20 team last year. They were on the one line. So, they were good enough last year to be really good during the regular season. Isn't it just about they missed in either recruiting at a high school or recruiting in the portal?
Yeah, I mean, it shows how important it is to hit on the transfer portal. They needed, I think, at least two pieces to make this team, a top 25 viable, NCAA team, and they missed out on a big man, on any sort of big man. And then really they expected Kay Tyson, who was a top 30 guy in 24/7 Sports transfer portal rankings, to be a 6'7" shooter, kind of like a Brady Manick type, and he's been a complete bust. So they missed out on a complete on a big man, and then they had a complete bust at the other position they needed. So it leaves them with a very, very incomplete roster, and we knew that going in. Like, everything we expected about this team is coming true, and you're seeing it. It's just there is some talent, but there's not enough pieces around the talent to make this team competitive against high-level ACC teams. And then in addition to just the lack of incomplete roster and lack of a big man and lack of necessary shooters, they have undersized backcourt.
Yeah.
And R.J. Davis and Elliot Cadeau. It kind of poses some problems defensively and his ability to score at the rim. They have no shot blocker. And they have no semblance of a front court that can provide any sort of offensive boost. And then your best players on paper, probably Ian Jackson and Drake Powell, in terms of NBA talent, are rookies. And so the roster is just poorly constructed, and you're seeing that effect out. We saw it early on, and we saw it throughout the season, but now the fight is gone as well because, they played really well against teams like Kansas and came back and at least showed some fight and, kind of had to, all right, this team can maybe mold into something special. But now, the Duke loss and then the Clemson loss last night just showed the team it seems like, I don't know, losing the locker room, as some of you would say, or just lack of fight. And it was just really embarrassing last night.
All right, so again, people who have listened to me long enough know I hate they quit. I hate that. Because I don't believe that athletes quit. I really don't. Professional or college. I see that in youth sports, right? I see that. But we're talking about you can't get to that level without having a competitive gene. And I just think that athletes don't do that. But I do think that you reach a point in a game, and maybe in a season, where you don't see a path forward. You don't. And I think that's where they were yesterday. Clemson physically bullied them. They killed Carolina on the offensive boards. They did not allow the Tar Heels to get the shots they wanted. So I get it. And I do think that when you get discouraged, when you get deflated, when you don't see a way, we've done it all. Like, you could argue, let me bring the Super Bowl back into this. When Kansas City started scoring, what were they doing? They just started chucking the ball down the field. They got a couple of big plays out of it. All of a sudden, they were scoring touchdowns. It wasn't like a sustained real drive. They just started chucking the ball down the field. I would argue that at that point, they had given up. Like, whatever, just chuck it, see what happens. And all of a sudden, they started scoring. I'll bring up another sport because I think this is a good example. For people who are fans of golf, there have been tournaments in the past, Freddie Couples has admitted this. There have been tournaments in the past where Couples was playing poorly and stopped caring. And all of a sudden, started playing good golf again. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, that's giving up. I don't care about the outcome. All of a sudden, his swing comes back. Like, I don't think I think North Carolina was trying, but they were just out of ideas last night against the Clemson Tigers. And a lot of that comes to their personnel isn't good, and that's why they didn't see a path forward. Like, we can't do this. We can't get by this. And I do think that the last 10 minutes at Cameron were maybe they created a false sense of security in that, we did all these things well. We started, impacting the game against Duke. Yeah, I'd always be weary or leery of assigning any importance to what happens when the game is in fact over. And that game was over. So I didn't see that as Carolina looking to get something out of the last 10 minutes. I didn't. I think this team has serious structural problems. They don't have depth. They don't have size. And right now, one of their most important players, Elliot Cadeau, is like an EKG. He's all over the place. Last night, we didn't have good Elliot Cadeau. Carolina cannot win a game without good Elliot Cadeau. They can win a game without good Ian Jackson. He helps. They have zero chance without good Elliot Cadeau. No chance at all. They need better from that. All right, tomorrow starts the Four Nations tournament. I'm excited about that.
Me too. Hockey will be sort of back.
Sort of. We get one game tomorrow night. I think it's, is it on, trying to think what network is airing it. I don't even know. I think, is it a TNT thing?
Probably. I'll have to look.
I think I know it's TNT and ESPN. They are both airing it. Anyway, so we'll talk a little bit about that. It's a Chip Patterson Wednesday. And State plays and Duke plays tomorrow night. Victoria, thank you. See you tomorrow.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
From Carolina winters to our very sunny summers, as America's exterior remodeler, Window World is here to keep families across the Triangle comfortable year-round. If you need new windows, siding, doors, and more, look no further than your locally owned Window World, the Triangle's most trusted and America's largest exterior remodeler. A proud sponsor of the Canes, Window World will get your home looking great on the outside while saving on energy costs inside. Get in touch with them today and request a free quote. Window World of Raleigh and Fayetteville. Improving homes, changing lives.
Roses are red, rosés are pink. Total Wine & More has your Valentine's drinks. A tasty champagne makes Valentine's shine, and so does a glass of sparkling wine. Need a great idea? We'll help you pick. But hurry, because Friday is coming up quick. With the lowest prices for over 30 years and curbside pickup and delivery available, find what you love and love what you find this Valentine's Day. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt.